Welcome back, everyone. This is week 5 of UX Design Fundamentals, and I'm Matt Humphreys. This week, we're going to take you through the skeleton plane. Last week's homework was a card sort, where you were required to organize VisoCast's nodes. The list is provided on Blackboard. Considering the assignment is partially done by you and a test candidate, make sure you provide all of that information in your assignment. Detailed instructions are provided on Blackboard. This week we're going to look at the skeleton plane. We started with strategy, where we put together user needs and product objectives. Next, we moved to scope, where we looked at functional specifications and content requirements. Last week, during the structure plane, we looked at interaction design and information architecture. And this week, we're going to start on the skeleton plane and focus on information navigation and interface design. Specifically this week, we're going to concentrate on interface design. In the skeleton plane, the conceptual structure that we worked on last week begins to give shape to the massive requirements from our strategic objectives. On the skeleton plane, we further refine that structure and identify specific aspects of the interface, navigation, and information design that will make intangible structure concrete. When we focus on specific aspects of interface, we're looking at priority and hierarchy of specific elements in a specific viewport or on a specific page. Specific aspects of navigation include any way of getting from a specific area to another. If a user needs to go from a landing page to a specific goal within one of the interior pages of your site, that will require some sort of navigational element. And finally, when we look at specific aspects of information design, that can be a little more complicated. Information design is that art of positioning elements next to each other so they make the most sense. But it's also about that juxtaposition of elements in the right order. And it's about revealing information in the right way so that it doesn't overwhelm your user. Information design overarches both interface design and navigation design. Give this a quick read. What this comic strip illustrates is the importance of not only looking at the previous plane for input into what we're creating in the skeleton plane. It's taking a step back and looking at all of the deliverables from the strategy plane, including all of the specific requirements from a user's and product perspective, and taking into account the detailed scope found in functional specifications and content requirements. Also, if you incorporate any data collected from research on card sorting or in specific user flow mapping, and incorporate that into your final information architecture, that will help you build out the skeleton plane. When we define the skeleton, there are 3 intermixed deliverables that we cover. On the functionality side, it's interface design. On the information side, it's navigation design. And covering them both is information design. We also use convention and metaphor in skeleton to start defining familiar elements that users can feel a relationship to. It allows us to experience elements in the digital space that are relative to the real world, but make sure that you use convention and metaphor that translates to digital, some things don't do as well. The good thing about metaphor, as we discussed last week, is it reduces the mental effort by providing a specific example that is familiar to most people. Another tip while we get into defining the skeleton is to be familiar with the visual brand at this stage of the game. It's very important to understand what types of signifiers are already in a client's brand guide. What types of visual elements are there, so that we're not using something that is close or too far away from a client's brand guide. That's your introduction to the skeleton plane. We'll see you in the next module.